to make sure this time I actually do the things. So I am here on all of the platforms. Hopefully, I am being seen. Hey, hey, hey. All right. So we're back for another Word Wednesday. For those of you tuning in for the first time, I'm Esty Marie, and it's National Poetry Month, y'all. So, because it's National Poetry Month, I want to go ahead and start off by sharing some of my personal poetry. I do have a poetry collection that is available on Amazon. So, you can type in These Dry Bones and you'll be able to go ahead and grab you a copy. So, I want to go ahead and start off this Wednesday with a piece called The Mirror. Have you ever taken a good look at yourself? I mean, past the reflection. Have you ever really looked at you? I looked at myself today, and there was more than just a face. There were the broken dreams of little girls who have been touched inappropriately by their older brother's friends. There was the self esteem of the chocolate girls who grew up with nappy hair, feeling like they need to wear it straight to maybe be beautiful. There were the eyes of women who feared vulnerability because to give another person access to hurt them again seemed like insanity. I wanted to look away, but I stood in the bathroom mirror and I stared at the dry bones of a nation of women who refused to allow old hurts and old fears to drive the car heading to their future. I saw the millions of women being healed by the love of the Father, being restored to who they were created to be, cultivators, capturing vision and creating beautiful masterpieces on life's canvas. Have you ever stopped to take a look at yourself in the mirror? Please tell me what you see. And that is that piece. So that is The Mirror. That's from my poetry collection called These Dry Bones. These Dry Bones is a collection that tells my story in poetic form. I fell in love with poetry because of a creative writing class that I took in 8th grade. And that class really allowed me to heal. It allowed me to be tapped into a part of myself that I was suppressing. And so poetry and being creative and arts education, I'm such an advocate for children having access to arts education because it saved my life. I was definitely going through a lot of different things that I did not know how to vocalize. And then I took that class and I discovered how to talk about things indirectly through the use of literary devices like metaphors and similes. And it it opened up my world. And I just want all kids to have access to that, which is why I do what I do, which is why I'm so adamant about helping other educators be able to take these creative abilities and allow kids to tap into that. So integrating arts into your curriculum does not mean it doesn't mean that you have to change what you're currently using. It just means opening yourself up to the idea of being able to utilize some other tools and some other options for your kids to be able to tap in, right? Okay, so if you are here for the first time, it's National Poetry Month. And on Mondays, I share what is called a Metaphor Monday on my consulting page. So if you don't follow, go ahead and tap into arts.reach.consulting and you'll be able to tap in and see what's going on. So, Metaphor Monday is exactly like it sounds. On Mondays, we share metaphor, right? So, on this week, I shared a metaphor, and I want to go ahead and get it pulled up for y'all. So, the metaphor that was shared on Monday comes from the book Borderlands La Frontera, and it is by Gloria Anzal. Hold on, wait, let me get this name right. Anzal Anzaldúa. I probably still said it wrong. I tried, Gloria. Forgive me. Um, but yes, the poem is by Gloria Anzan. No, Anzaldúa. There it is. Gloria Anzaldúa. So the poem, the metaphor is by this wonderful poet. And this is what the metaphor was shared. Hey, Alex. So the metaphor, basically in this book, she talks about being living in between two worlds, like living between two cultures, living between two languages. And I think that it's an awesome book, awesome poem to have in your collection, have in your library, especially if you have English language. Like we know language learners are going through enough as it is. Like they're trying to master a whole new language. And I'm sorry, I grew up speaking English. English is complicated, okay? Like I salute anyone who is learning English as a second language because those of us who know it as a first language don't even speak it right, okay? Um, so Um, I just wanted to go ahead and let that be known. Hey, Alicia. Yeah, learning English is hard. Okay. So Gloria in this book, she's giving all these different metaphors and she's talking about living in between these two worlds. So the metaphor that I shared on Monday was I am a turtle. Wherever I go, I carry home on my back. Y'all, that right there, it's so loud. It's so loud, yet there's not that many words. And I really, really, really can relate to this because moving, like if you have students who are new to the school, students who are new to the country, like there's so many things that are happening And just this whole idea of being a turtle and carrying home on your back. Like, what do turtles do when something startles them? They go inside their shell. Like, the whole metaphor of a turtle, especially for a child who's in a new environment, who's in a new space, like, it just makes so much sense. So definitely I would say tap in with this book. Um, and let me give you a few tips for being able to take this and use it in your classroom. So definitely do an analysis, analyze the poem. So analyze that metaphor. Um, what is home? Like, home has so many different meanings, and it has so many different contexts when you're talking about kids who are they're they're at school, they're speaking one language, and then they get home and then they're speaking a whole nother language, and then they're with their peers. And it just, this whole idea of having to switch, and the amount of brain work that it takes to switch languages, okay? Because I have a hard enough time trying to remember the little bit of Spanish that I do know. Um, but yes, being able to switch between one culture and the expectations of that culture, and then go into another space and be emerged in another culture. And, like, let's keep it real. African Americans have been expected to code switch for a very long time. And yeah, code switching is, it's real. It's a very real thing. And knowing when to speak a certain way and when not to speak a certain way and when to act, just that whole concept of having to turn it on and turn it off and living in between these two worlds. It's 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 not it's not okay. Alicia says, right, let's do away with code switching. Like, seriously, why why do we have to code switch? Like, who came up with this concept? No one else does it. Alicia says no one else does it. In um to be, yeah, no, but no one's, no, not that I have seen. I haven't seen where other cultures are expected to turn off who they are, their cultural backgrounds, and the things that come along with being who they are. No one else that I've seen is expected to turn it off and switch codes. Um, However, when you get to the African American culture, we are expected to turn it off. And Alex says, all my life, right? Um, but the funny thing about it is, when others are acting in a way that is African American, it's it's like cool or it's acceptable. But then when you yourself are doing it, someone who is actually, a person of color, you're acting that way, it's a problem. I have to switch it up at work and with your friends and family. When I used to code switch, it was exhausting. Yes, like, definitely, it's code switching is hard. And even, I'll talk about it, even within the community, it's hard. Um, so I grew up in Rancho Cucamonga, right? So I grew up in Rancho Cucamonga. I grew up listening to Avril Lavigne and, um, Blink 182 and Green Day. Like, those are the things that I was listening to, right? And so when I left that area and I came to LA, it was a little bit of a culture shock, you know. There were things that I had to adapt and adjust to, and oh my god, when that game Black Card Revoked came out, like, listen, there are so many things that I just didn't know. Like, my black card was getting pulled left and right because yeah, I just there were things that I didn't know. And yes, I was definitely referred to as an Oreo. Um those were the things that were happening. We lost that game. Yes, Alex, we lost that game. Black card revoked was definitely it was a challenge for me. And then on top of that, like, I'm Nigerian on top of all of that. So then there are certain things like culturally that just didn't fly in my household. Like, who's getting allowances? Like, what are we doing that for? You're doing chores because that's what we do here. Okay. So there's just a lot of different things that I had to learn and I had to adapt to. And so this whole idea of being able to live in between the cultures, live in between the worlds, I definitely resonate with this poem. And I'm sure if you're an educator, if you have students of color, even students who are not minorities, there's code switching and there's just this idea of the pressures that come with societal expectations and having to be one way. Like, I've experienced it. There are students who, when I was in the classroom, they acted a certain way when they were with one group, and then they acted another way when they were with another group. And so just having these conversations about being able to be your authentic self, I think is so important. And let's go ahead and get into the second tip, right? So, analyzing the poem is tip one. Tip two is exploring the concept of borderlands. So, this poem is a great starting point for discussions on the concept of borderlands, what it means to live in the margins of society. So, we're talking about the things that shape identity. Again, we're talking about their home culture, they're talking about school culture, they're talking about their place in society. All of this comes into being comfortable with who you are. Alicia says, talking about the difference with code switching, BS, knowing your audience and behaving appropriately to fit the occasion. Yes, 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 yes. So I love that point, Alicia. Definitely, there is a difference between code switching versus knowing when it's appropriate to tone things down, like knowing how to read the room. Okay. This is important. This is something that everyone needs to know, needs to learn, especially as you get into the real world, as you get into just life in general. Knowing how to read the room is essential. That I feel like that's a life skill. And everyone doesn't have it. Everyone doesn't have it, but this is a great way to have these types of conversations and get people understanding the difference between, like, switching it on and switching it off versus there's a time and a place. Like, there is a difference. There is a time, there's a place, and then there's code switching. So we'll have to come back to that on another live. So you can also, tip three, connect this poem to current events. So there's a lot of different events that are happening around the world, like society and ooh, issues of identity and culture are like very rampant right now. So it's very easy to have them do some research on a current event that's happening, on an immigration policy that's happening, and connect those themes of what's happening right now in the world to how someone would feel and relate it to that poem. So being able to take the poem, take the whole idea of being in between two worlds and have them do some research and connect it to a current event. And you can even have them do like a postcard, like write a postcard as a character and have them speak from the viewpoint of that character. Like, how would this person feel based on what they've researched about the issue or whatever that's going on. Thank you, Tamara, sorry. And then the fourth thing you could have them do is write a response poem. I love the idea of writing a response poem because once you've read a piece, being able to tap into um, that artist for inspiration is always, always, always like fun. And it also gives the students a starting point for those who may feel like they don't know what to write. Like doing a response piece gives them like an outline. Okay, so this poem's already here. We've read this piece. Now let's respond to this piece. And you could have them explore their own experiences of living on the margins of society, of living in two different worlds, and living um, essentially with these two identities and helping them figure out how to take the two identities and make them one so that they don't feel like they're in this split, you know? So I think those are my four tips. So let's recap. So the first one is analyze the poem. The second one is explore and have a discussion about code switching, about being in two worlds and how that affects your identity and how that shapes your identity. The third one is doing a connection to current events. And then the fourth one is writing a response poem. So these are my four tips for using um, the poem Borderlands by Gloria Anzaldúa. Finally, I'm gonna get it right for real. But yes, I definitely love sharing these things with you guys. I love poetry, I love creativity, and I think all students should definitely have access to these conversations. Like, it's on us as educators to make these types of conversations happen for our kids, because where else are they going to have them? Where else can they have these guided conversations that can help to formulate and help them to clear their thoughts, to help them to get their mind wrapped around this whole concept of identity and being acceptant acceptance of who they are. Like, that is something, especially for kids growing up, it's hard when society has these standards that are there and that are put in front of you, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're not really knowing the all of the rules the unsaid rules. So, hey, Nikki, I want you to do a clubhouse room open mic. Okay, Nikki, I can make that happen. I can definitely make that happen. So we'll do a clubhouse room and we'll do some poetry. We'll do that. So yeah. Um thank you guys so much for tuning in for Words on Wednesday. Um again, if you did not catch that poem at the beginning, go ahead and watch the replay, and you'll hear my original piece from my poetry collection, These Dry Bones. It is available on Amazon, so please go ahead and, it's National Poetry Month. Grab a book for your girl. There's actually a very beautiful poetic photo series that is in the book. Um, Shout out to Ashley. She did the photography for me, and she also did my book cover. So, hey, Ashley, yay! But the that whole book within itself is a metaphor. Um, I looked at the concept of the Valley of the Dry Bones in the 37th chapter of the book of Ezekiel, and that story spoke to me because of where I was in my life and how I felt I was. I felt like I was a dead woman walking. I was just going through the motions of life, not really feeling it at all. I was very, very depressed, but showing up on a regular basis, doing all the things that I needed to do. And it took for, God to stop me and let me know that I didn't have to continue living like that. Hey, Nelly. I didn't have to continue living like that. So it was a process, a healing process of being able to look at what was really going on with me, what was causing me to feel like I wasn't really living, and then begin to allow God, and I had to do it myself, speak life over myself. So, the photo series really shows that transition of me with the skeleton face as the bones, and then as you go through the book, there's less and less of the skeleton face until you get to the end and it's me, pretty face. No more skeletons. I have come back to life. I have been revived. And so that is the overall message of the poetry collection itself, is really that, you know, whatever hardship it is that you're going through, whatever you feel like you cannot um, get through, just hold on and keep living, because I promise you, as I'm standing here right now, you can get through it. And one of the things that really helped me get through was being able to express myself creatively. I was able to release a lot of the things that I was not able to talk about. Oh, Melissa, I love you too. Hey, Melissa. One of the things that really, really allowed me to process what I was going through was the poetic expression, was the artistic expression. So being able to have that as an outlet, you have no idea what's going on in the minds of your students. There are students who I can guarantee you, because I was one of them, they're showing up to your classroom every single day. They may have a smile on their face, they may not have a smile on their face, but they're showing up and they're doing all the right things, but inside they are not together. They are not okay. And they don't know how to voice it. And it's not until you give them some sort of outlet, some sort of way to express that, that you'll begin to you won't know. Like, you just won't know. And I just want to have the ability to help as many kids as I can. So if you know an educator and if you are an educator or you know an educator who is looking for a way to create space in your classroom, if you're looking for a way to create space for students to feel safe, for students to express themselves, for students to be able to just share their thinking and share what's on their heart, go ahead and shoot me a message. I'd love to connect with you. Um, so that is it for now. That is the words for Wednesday today. Be sure to go ahead and check out Gloria's book um, and add it to your collection. Okay. A few announcements. I do have art classes for children online. So if you go to theheartpour.com, you'll be able to sign up for these classes. They are only $180 for 10 weeks. So it's a 10-week program. It is a beautiful time that we will have creating poetry, creating art, and all the things. We're going to be talking about identity. We're going to be building their social emotional capacities and getting them strong and fortified in who they are, because we know that this world, if you don't have these conversations with your kids and you just leave it up to society and social media, they're gonna be confused. Okay, because we can't just leave it up to them. We need them to know who they are for themselves. We need them to be able to be solid in who they are and have a strong sense of identity, have a strong sense of social awareness. And that is what we'll be working on for the 10 weeks through creative expression. Okay. So that is that. Please feel free to go to theheartpour.com and check it out. Um, I believe that's all the announcements. Oh, yeah, be sure you can follow me on all social platforms. Um, E. Marie, the O is a zero. And if you would like to follow my consulting page, go ahead and follow arts.reach.consulting and shoot me a DM. Like if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and if you use any of these tips, let me know. If this is helpful for you, let me know. Shoot me a comment, shoot me a DM. Let me know how this is working out for you. Let me know if you tried any of these in your class. I would love to hear from you. Okay. So I will catch you guys next week at 6 o'clock. Don't forget to look out for the featured poet for Friday. This one's for the fellas, the ladies always get love. So I figured this Friday I will feature a male poet. So be sure to be on the lookout for who our Friday feature is. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm out.